Went silent the moment my heels clicked onto the stage. My stepmother's voice shattered it. She's the maid's daughter. Why is she even speaking? She barked, rising halfway from her gold-trimmed seat like she'd just spotted a rat near the caviar tower. She'll humiliate us again. I swear to God. Get her off the... I didn't flinch. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I adjusted the microphone, ignoring the heat crawling up the back of my neck from all the stares, and simply smiled. Then, a chair scraped back. A man at the head table stood slowly. Tall. Silver-haired. Unshakably powerful. And instantly recognizable. Chairman William Harper. Billionaire. Owner of Harper Tech. Every person in this ballroom either worked for him, owed him, or feared him. He turned calmly toward the crowd. She's not here to humiliate anyone, he said, his voice cool as steel. She's here because she's earned it. And as of this morning, he smiled faintly. She's the new CEO of Harper Tech. There was a collective gasp across the room. And then he added, almost as an afterthought, but not really. Oh, and she's married to my son. It was like someone had dropped a bomb in the middle of the ballroom. Half the people stared at me. The rest slowly turned toward my stepmother, who was frozen mid-sputter, jaw half open, face draining of color, like someone pulled the plug. But I didn't look at her. Not yet. I kept my eyes forward, locking on every face watching me, every polished politician, board member, and so-called family member who once whispered that I was just the maid's girl. I leaned into the mic. My name is Eliza Monroe, I said calmly. And tonight, I'll be the one deciding whose contracts get renewed and whose legacies end here. The silence cracked like thunder. A few people even started clapping. Hesitantly at first, then louder. And that was the moment my stepmother sat down. But let me tell you how we got there. Not from the beginning. From the night I found out they planned to erase me. 2 months earlier. Atlanta, Georgia. Midnight. I was in the laundry room, my old refuge, scrubbing out a wine stain from a silk sleeve I couldn't afford to tear. Not because it was mine. It belonged to my stepsister, Bianca. She'd spilled it on herself at dinner, tossed it at me without looking, and told me I had one job. Her usual. As I rinsed the sleeve, I heard the voices echoing from the hallway outside the kitchen. My stepmother, Denise. My stepsister. And someone else I didn't recognize at first. He'll never marry her, Denise was saying. He's just playing. Look at her. No pedigree, no looks, no class. He'll get bored. Bianca laughed. Mom, he already is. He's been texting Ava. I saw the messages. That name stung. Ava. Model. Blonde. From a legacy family. Denise scoffed. Even better. Let him sleep with her. Once we secure the CEO announcement, I'll make sure Eliza's contract doesn't renew. She'll be out of Harper Tech by fall. Out of the family by winter. The blood drained from my face. Contract? Out of Harper Tech? They didn't know I was already 2 steps ahead. They didn't know about the shares. They didn't know about Liam. And they sure as hell didn't know about the prenup I had hidden in my desk drawer. They were planning to erase me. But I'd already started rewriting the rules. And soon, they'd realize. I don't get erased. I flipped the whole damn board. 2 days later, Harper Tech private conference room. I sat across from the board. Cold water in front of me. Nerves like wire beneath my skin. Ms. Monroe, one of them said, your proposed software restructure will require cutting 3 entire regional branches. Do you understand how that will look? I do, I said. But I also know those branches have been bleeding money for 4 years. We're saving Harper Tech, not babysitting legacy hires. A pause. Then a slow nod from the CFO. You've got guts. I had more than that. I had the vote of the chairman's son. And last night I had something else. His last name. No ceremony. No Instagram post. No dress. Just a courthouse, a signature, and the sound of my old last name disappearing into the past. Liam Harper, billionaire heir, had stood beside me, sliding the ring on my finger without a word. No one knew yet, but soon they would. Back at the Harper estate, that night, my stepmother stood at the grand staircase, sipping wine, her diamond bracelet catching the chandelier light. "You're still wearing that department store watch?" she sneered. "Thought you'd upgrade by now, Eliza." I smiled, pulling off my coat. "I did," I said. "But this one reminds me of who I'm not." "What does that mean?" She narrowed her eyes. I walked past her without answering. Because tomorrow night, at the family's annual awards gala, she'd understand exactly what I meant. Gala night, present. Back on that stage, I saw my past, my scars, my silence, all fade under the spotlight. I saw every person who'd whispered, "She's just a maid's daughter," now staring, blinking, struggling to catch up. And I hadn't even begun, because the speech wasn't about Harper Tech. It was about them. The lights were still blinding as I looked out over the crowd, but I didn't need to see their faces to know what they were thinking. Whispers ran like cracks through the marble room, people shifting in their seats, pretending not to glance toward my stepmother, who now looked like the air had been pulled from her lungs. I kept my posture straight, hands resting on the podium, but inside, I could still feel the echoes of every humiliation she had ever thrown my way. Every time she'd said I wasn't good enough. Every time she made sure I stayed one step behind Bianca. Every time she had laughed when someone said, "Oh, is that the maid's kid?" and she didn't correct them. Tonight was mine. I leaned into the mic, voice calm but firm. When I first came to this family, I wasn't welcomed. I was tolerated. And not quietly. Somewhere in the back, Bianca folded her arms, lips pressed so tight they nearly vanished. Her father, my stepfather, looked down at his glass, not daring to meet my eyes. I was told to keep my head down, be grateful, stay invisible. I paused. But invisible people see everything. A few gasps broke the silence. I saw Mr. Carpenter, the logistics head, glance nervously at his phone like he suddenly remembered an emergency across town. A couple of executives sitting near the front shifted uncomfortably in their tuxedos. I continued, steady as ever. Last year, I started looking into regional losses, ghost accounts, misplaced budgets. One name kept showing up. I turned toward the projector screen behind me and pressed a button. An image blinked into view, an invoice trail, then another. Then a photo of Bianca entering a Harper Tech branch in New York with a duffel bag and a man we all knew had been fired for embezzlement 2 years ago. Bianca jumped to her feet. "You manipulative little. This is a smear." Chairman Harper raised a single hand. She froze mid-sentence. His voice was sharper now. "Let her finish." Bianca sat down, face burning. I knew I wasn't done, but I could already feel the shift in the room. People weren't looking at me like a mistake anymore. They were looking at me like a mirror they'd avoided for years. Every time I was dismissed, I said, looking at my stepmother now, every time I was treated like I didn't belong, I worked harder. I stayed late. I watched. I learned. I paused again, this time for impact. And now I'm here. Not because of my last name. Not because of charity. But because while everyone was busy underestimating me, I became the best option Harper Tech had. Silence. Complete and total. Then someone clapped. One person, maybe two. Then more. It started slowly, but soon it was the entire front row, rising to their feet. The board. The investors. Even the press section. Not out of kindness, but out of the kind of fear and respect that comes when someone they once ignored suddenly has the power to end their careers. Denise didn't clap. She sat rigid, face expressionless, but her nails dug into the side of her champagne flute until I saw it crack. I stepped away from the mic and walked down the steps, past the stunned guests, toward the chairman's table. Liam stood up, reached for my hand. Calm, proud, silent. He kissed my cheek gently and whispered, "You did it. You really did it." I nodded once, but didn't say a word. The spotlight faded behind me as I walked with him out of the ballroom, the echoes of applause chasing us all the way to the double doors. The moment they closed behind us, the silence hit again. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was peaceful. We didn't say anything until we reached the car. He opened the door for me, and just before sliding in, I turned to him. "She'll come after me harder now," I said softly. Liam didn't hesitate. "Let her try." The engine started. The car pulled off into the night. But I knew this wasn't over. This was just the public unveiling. Behind the scenes, Denise wasn't the type to take defeat quietly. And if she couldn't destroy me with whispers anymore, she'd come with fire. But I'd learned how to survive fires. Now I was ready to start one of my own. The next morning, I woke to silence. No alerts, no calls, no texts. Which was strange. After a night like that, I expected some backlash. Maybe a dramatic statement from Bianca or a subtle legal threat from Denise. But it was quiet. Too quiet. I got dressed, poured black coffee, and checked my inbox again. Nothing. Then, just as I set my cup down, the front gate camera pinged. A white SUV. No plates. Parked just past the security line. I opened the app, zoomed in. A man stepped out, broad shoulders, gray jacket, sunglasses. It wasn't random. This was her next move. I called Liam. "Don't open the door," he said immediately. "I'll handle it." "I'm not scared," I replied. "I didn't say you were. I said I'll handle it." His voice was calm, but I could tell he was already turning the car around. And I knew that look in his eyes. He didn't trust them. Not for a second. 15 minutes later, the car was gone. No note. No message. But I knew Denise too well. That wasn't a warning. It was a test. She wanted to see if I'd rattle. I didn't. Instead, I went to work early. Sat at the head of the table in the boardroom, watching each department head file in one by one. Some greeted me carefully, using my new title. Others looked unsure how to even look me in the eye. Then Denise walked in. She wasn't on the board, but she'd come anyway. Her heels echoed too loudly, her smile too wide. She wore a pale beige suit, the same one she'd worn to Harper's 40th anniversary celebration. "Good morning," she said, like nothing had ever happened. I didn't respond. I simply waited until everyone was seated. "Let's begin," I said, flipping open the folder in front of me. "Today we'll be reviewing pending audits and restructuring initiatives. As CEO, I've also made some staffing adjustments." A few heads turned. I reached for the list and read calmly, without looking up. Effective immediately, Director of Brand Partnerships, Bianca Royce, is suspended pending financial investigation. Denise flinched. No one said a word. She's to vacate her office today. Internal audit will handle the rest. Denise opened her mouth. I raised a hand without looking at her. "This meeting is not open for commentary from non-board members. You're welcome to step outside." She didn't move. Then Chairman Harper spoke from the far end. "You heard her."
Denise stood.
Her chair scraped loudly against the tile. She didn't slam the door, but the silence after it clicked shut was louder than any scream. I looked up again. "I know some of you doubt me," I said simply. "But I didn't come here to beg for approval. I came to clean house." No one challenged me, because they all knew I had the files. I had the leverage, and I wasn't afraid to use it. Later that evening, back at the penthouse, I found a small envelope slipped under the door. No name, just a single sheet inside. "You think you've won, but the game just started.
D."
Liam read it over my shoulder and cursed under his breath. "She's not letting this go." I folded the note and dropped it into the fireplace.
"She shouldn't," I said.
I'm not finished either. 3 days passed, and not a single word from Bianca. Not a text. Not a call. Not even a poorly crafted PR statement. Which made one thing clear: she was hiding. Probably lawyering up. But Denise? She was moving.
Fast.
That Friday morning, I arrived at Harper Tech and found the receptionist staring wide-eyed at her computer. "Is everything okay?" I asked, setting my bag down. She turned the monitor toward me. It was a blog post, anonymous, but calculated. Harpertech's new CEO is sleeping her way to the top. Beneath it, grainy photos, me and Liam at dinner, one of us walking into a hotel lobby from a year ago. My stomach dropped for a second. But I didn't blink. Because I knew who did this.
And why?
Denise wanted to get inside my head. Turn my success into scandal. Twist the narrative before it solidified. I took the laptop gently, clicked to trace the site's registration, and sent the link to Liam. 10 minutes later, he called. She used one of her old assistants. I'll make a call. It'll be gone in an hour. I don't want it gone, I said. Not yet. You want to play it?
No.
I want to bury her with it. And I meant it. Letting her see me upset was what she wanted. But I wasn't 19 anymore. Back then, when she told me to serve drinks instead of sit at the table, I obeyed. Not anymore. I printed the article, circled the headline, and slid it into a manila envelope. I added the records I'd kept hidden for years. Internal memos, falsified invoices, audio files with Denise's voice saying things no corporate sponsor would dare defend. Then I made one call. Not to a lawyer. To a journalist I once helped save from a lawsuit when Harpertech tried to silence her. Her name was Carmen Banks. She picked up on the first ring. You ready to talk? She asked. I'm ready to destroy.
Good.
I've got room for you on the front page. That night, I handed over the file. Not out of revenge. Out of truth. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about every girl told she wasn't enough because her mother once wore a uniform and mopped the floor while others threw galas upstairs. The next day, the story broke. Front page. Prime time. Major headlines. Not the scandal Denise had planned, hers. The documents exposed years of misuse, insider manipulation, and threats made to silence internal whistleblowers.
And Bianca?
Listed in 3 of the transactions. By noon, their family name was trending. By nightfall, their house was surrounded by cameras. And me? I was exactly where I belonged. In my office. Running a company. On my own merit. When the dust finally started to settle, Liam walked in quietly and shut the door behind him. He didn't say anything at first, just walked to my desk and slid a box toward me. What's this? He smiled. Something you forgot. I opened it. My old wristwatch. The one Denise mocked weeks ago. But this time, the back had a new engraving. You were always enough. I closed the box slowly, eyes stinging. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, Eliza, he said. You saved yourself. I reached for his hand. But deep down, I knew there was one more thing left. Denise had tried to destroy me publicly. I had taken her down professionally. Now it was time to face her privately. Just me and her. Face to face. And no more masks. I found her in the garden behind their estate.
Alone.
No heels, no champagne glass, no audience. Just her and a half-dead rose bush she wasn't really trimming. She didn't turn when she heard me approach. You came to gloat? She asked flatly. No, I said. I came to finish it. She let out a soft laugh. You already did. Took everything. My daughter's career. My name. My reputation. What's left? You, I said. Still pretending none of this was your fault. She finally turned to look at me. Her face was thinner, less painted, but her eyes still carried that same cold sharpness. I raised you, she said. Fed you. Gave you a roof. No, I replied. You tolerated me because you thought I'd stay small. A pause. I never hated you, Eliza. I shook my head. That's the problem. You didn't think I was worth hating. You thought I was disposable.
She didn't deny it.
I should have crushed you when I had the chance, she whispered. You tried, I said. You just didn't realize I was already building something stronger while you were too busy trying to erase me. Silence hung between us. Then I added quietly, stay away from Harpertech. Stay away from me. I won't warn you again.
She didn't speak.
I turned and walked away. And for the first time in my life, she didn't follow, didn't snap back, didn't whisper something behind me. Because there was nothing left to say. A week later, Harpertech's stock hit a record high. Bianca was indicted quietly. Denise disappeared from every society paper. And me? I sat in the same office where I used to wait outside with coffee trays, now behind the desk, building something that no one could take away from me again. I was no longer the maid's daughter.